Tendrils of conversations around you reach your ears. Excited voices intermingle with jubilant laughter, downcast tones matching forlorn expressions. To some, the voices would sound like jumbled noise, but to you, it is one beautiful, interwoven conversation, and you are able to understand all of it. You pick up English and also Spanish coming from people with different backgrounds. Each person may be unique, but we share common experiences with one another. It may only be the language barrier keeping people distant. Being bilingual allows you to have new opportunities for connections, which benefit social, cognitive, and career aspects. Being able to fluently speak, read, and write in another language is powerful. It impacts your daily life and the way you view the world. And in a world full of opportunity, monolingualism is increasingly becoming a limitation as society becomes more blended. As a biliterate person, you are already prepared for the future, and new opportunities will open for you in your career. You'll be able to connect with a diverse array of people in your community and around the world, and your brain will be primed to function at its optimal best well into old age.
I remember walking to school in the first grade, telling all my friends about how I was going to move to the globally famous United States of America. I remember trekking the new lands of an airport while translating for my mom. I remember arriving in this new country and instantly falling in love. I quickly began to grow my understanding of English exponentially every day I spent in school. I never felt as if it were a difficult task, especially because of my age. Everything just stuck, as if I were already programmed to learn it. Many years went by full of translating and interpreting for my family, most notably my mom. I always stuck by her side in case she needed interpretation from me for anything important. I was her eyes, her ears, and her mouth in an alien world I had become attached to.
In my personal experience, being able to learn a second language has allowed me to connect with other people and other cultures in ways that I didn't realize I could. In my Spanish classes, specifically Spanish 4 and 5, many of our units are based around real-world issues, with our vocab corresponding to such. This allows us to learn the language while also learning what is going on in those countries. For example, our last unit was global and civic participation. We learned a plethora of new words, including el desempleo, la desnutrición, ser voluntario. In addition, we learned about the extreme poverty many people face and the challenges that arise as a result for so many around the globe, and specifically in Latin American countries. In Spanish 2 and 3, we learned about culture in addition to the Spanish language, learning how the language is a culture itself, the special role holidays play in Spanish-speaking countries, and how food influences the culture. We had a Dia de los Muertos celebration and made papel picado, a common decoration in Mexico for the Day of the Dead. Being able to connect the language we have spent so much time learning vocab, conjugation, spelling, and grammar for is not only interesting and eye-opening, but gratifying as we make real-world connections and realize how learning a second language can benefit us in our lives.
When speaking two languages, the brain's executive function, prefrontal cortex, must differentiate the two languages. The prefrontal cortex does this by selecting for one language while actively suppressing the other. This strengthens the executive function of the brain. As a result of the strengthening of the prefrontal cortex, people who are bilingual have executive functions that are stronger. They have averaged higher scores in cognitive performance on tests and had greater attention focus, distraction resistance, decision-making, judgment, and responsiveness to feedback than the monolingual peers. Being bilingual also has health benefits. Because of the executive control function system is always in operation whenever a person speaks or listens, it works as a bit of a mental exercise. According to one study, dementia set in 4 to 5 years later in people who spent their lives speaking 2 languages instead of 1. This just shows how being bilingual not only boosts brain power, but also helps improve one's long-term health.
Through this program called ELO, I was able to identify myself with other students participating in this program who, just like me, moved from other countries and had to start their new lives in this small city. I quickly adapted myself with these students and became friends with them. This brought me hope and joy through my middle school years. Thanks to this program, I was able to learn proficient English in just 3 years. After learning that I wasn't the only one who struggled to learn this language, I felt comfort, but most importantly, I felt encouragement and motivation to tackle these challenges head on. I started being proud of my heritage and embracing my ability to know 2 languages. I started viewing this as a gift rather than a burden. I made this gift a single-edged sword rather than a double-edged one, using this gift to my advantage and hopefully as a blessing for others. I started participating in multicultural events in 8th grade and high school, where my family and I got the opportunity to display what Mexican heritage is about by bringing in famous foods, apparel, and music from my home country of Mexico. These opportunities helped me appreciate my heritage. Just as Jamaican activist Marcus Garvey once said, "A people without the knowledge of their past, origin, and culture is like a tree with no roots." I heard this quote a while back while attending a multicultural event at Liberty North. This helped me realize that having a different cultural background isn't bad at all. In fact, it's a blessing. But it can only be a blessing if the person lets it be so.